The Mitchell Trubisky era has finally ended. I was surprised to see it happen. Now, Matt Nagy has been very high on Mitchell Trubisky, and by no surprise. I mean, he traded up to the second overall pick to take Mitchell Trubisky, and this was over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Now, that's what is always talked about. Mitchell Trubisky being drafted before Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Once again, Mitchell Trubisky is another quarterback that just did not work in the NFL, and honestly could still. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky is a young quarterback. He is still in his rookie deal, and he will probably be a backup somewhere, but going forward, he could still shape out in the NFL. I mean, Jameis Winston is talked about a lot, also being the first overall draft pick a few years back. Again, he can work out in the NFL. Maybe he just needs a new restart. Someone just needs a fresh restart. I mean, Ryan Tannehill was also a big draft pick that went to the Dolphins and then now is starting with the Tennessee Titans and is working out. So I was surprised that they already benched Mitchell Trubisky week 3. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky had great performances in week 1 and week 2 of this year. Now, given that was against the Dolphins defense and the Giants defense, which are two of the worst teams in the NFL right now. Now, Lions are, I mean, did I say Dolphins? No, Lions and Giants. So Lions defense is really bad. I mean, when you look at it though, Lions are a good team. Lions are a good team. They're always a good team, but they're not good enough, and they always disappoint also. The Lions always disappoint. So again, it's not a very good team. So I said I thought Mitchell Trubisky was going to be benched eventually when he was going to be forced to bench. Benching him this game was a bit of a surprise. I said Bears are going to be 4th in the division, 6-10. I predicted. Now that they're bringing Nick Foles in instead of Mitchell Trubisky, which is a huge upgrade. I don't care what anyone says. That is a massive upgrade. Now, Nick Foles, we don't know exactly how he looks. He's played a lot in the NFL so far. We saw him obviously win a Super Bowl with Philadelphia when he came into the postseason and looked really good with Philadelphia. But the difference is, this Bears offense is not as good as Philadelphia's offense at all. That was Philadelphia when Alshon Jeffrey was one of the best. He was a great wide receiver that year. Deshaun Jackson was looking really good, and then they even had a running back group back then and an amazing defense. So that was the Philadelphia's team, which doesn't look anything like this Bears team right now. That offense is not very good at all. Tyreek Owen is out for the season. I'm still surprised they gave Tyreek Owen another contract. I mean, he's not a great running back, so I'm surprised that they gave him a contract extension already. And then outside of that, what do they have? Allen Robinson. He's not a great starting wide receiver either. I mean, Allen Robinson throughout his career has been okay, but they have this Anthony Miller guy who is coming out this year and looking really good. I like how Anthony Miller is looking this good, and they needed someone to step up on that Bears offense, because it's not going to be Allen Robinson, and it's not going to be David Montgomery, and it's not going to be Tyreek Owen. So they needed someone to step up on that offense. I didn't care if it was going to be a tight end or a wide receiver. They needed someone to step up on that offense. And I'm surprised that the Bears are already benching Mitchell Trubisky because of how much Matt Nagy did like Mitchell Trubisky. And going forward, I don't know what they're going to do with Trubisky. They're probably going to cut him after the season, maybe go forward with Nick Foles, depending on how he does the rest of the season. I would still give the Bears about an even record, maybe 8-8, 9-7, somewhere around there, 10-6 at best. I would give the Bears, even though they are a 3-0 team right now. But you're looking at the games that they're going to be having to go forward with, and it's not going to be looking good at all for them. They have to play the Packers twice. They have to play the Saints. They have to play the Buccaneers, like the rest of the teams in the NFC North, and they have to play these teams. They still have not shown themselves as an actual threat in the NFL. The only teams they've played so far has been the Giants, bottom 2 team in the NFL right there. Lions, bottom 10 team in the NFL. And then who did they play? Falcons. Okay, Falcons have a lot of pieces, but not unsurprisingly, they're not very much of a threat also, the Falcons. But Falcons are a decent team. I would give them about middle of the pack right now. To see how Nick Foles does this week against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, given the Indianapolis Colts have a pretty good secondary, outside of that, the Indianapolis Colts is not a great defense, so Bears should be able to take this game. I'm surprised the Colts aren't looking as good as I predicted them to look. Their coaching staff has not been very good this year, so has not stepped up to as it did years prior. I thought Phillip Rivers was a great signing for them, and I feel like that was a piece that they really needed. They haven't been giving the ball to T.Y. Hilton as much as I thought that they would, and T.Y. Hilton is a great route runner, one of the best wide receivers in the league, and they haven't been giving him the ball much. But anyways, we're going to see how he does this week, and I would still give Nick Foles. I don't know how good they're going to be, though. It's really unpredictable because of how Nick Foles looked with Jacksonville. Now, again, Jacksonville, all they had was Leonard Fournette on offense and DJ Chark. Not a great offensive line either. Jacksonville was not a very good defense, a very good offense. And now him coming to the Bears, it's about even. The Jacksonville offense is about even as good as this Bears offense, so we don't know exactly how he's going to look, but sometimes quarterbacks just need that. Sometimes quarterbacks just need to go to a different team and sometimes it works in their system and sometimes it doesn't work in others. So their coaching staff could use some help. Matt Nagy, of course, this is what Matt Nagy needed to do. I'm surprised he did it already. I predicted it about halfway through the season. I predicted they would give Mitchell Trubisky 5 more games, and then after that would probably bring in Nick Foles to start, because I feel like Mitchell Trubisky is going to fail most of those games. But he had an awful start to this game. They benched Mitchell Trubisky in I think the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, Nick Foles got 3 touchdowns for the team. Nick Foles looked really good that game, and Nick Foles is still the greatest backup quarterback in NFL history. I mean, this guy came in for Carson Wentz, won the Super Bowl, looked amazing, Super Bowl MVP, everything, and always came in for Carson Wentz, both NFL postseasons, and looked great. So again, it's the Eagles offense, and they have a greater coaching staff than the Bears. They had more pieces than the Bears back then, and now this year, the Eagles offense is not looking good at all. They don't have a run game, and their pass game is looking really bad also. So the Eagles offense is looking really bad. But that Anthony Miller guy, I'm excited to see what he can do. Now, of course, I am a Vikings fan, so I don't like the Bears. But hey, I'm excited when teams are good. I mean, I'm excited to see what Anthony Miller can do. David Montgomery still has to prove himself in the NFL, and Allen Robinson has just been an okay receiver throughout his league. I would give him about as good as Emmanuel Sanders. I feel like he's a really good piece for your offense, a starter. He's solidified himself as a starter, but no starting number one receiver who you can feed the ball to, really, even though that's what they've been doing. It's not going to work in the NFL. In the NFC, though, there's a lot of teams in the NFC that Nick Foles would have to go up against, and I don't think that making the playoffs is going to be... It's possible that they can make the playoffs. I mean, they are 3-0 right now, so it's looking likely that they could make the playoffs. But then again, they would have to go on the road because they're not anything close to as good as the Green Bay Packers right now. Packers are looking really good offense. Our defense could use some help, but the Packers are looking really good right now, and they're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs. And I don't see Nick Foles going on the road, even though he's been there before and won a Super Bowl. I don't see him going on the road against Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, possibly Matt Ryan if he goes there, Russell Wilson. All these quarterbacks have been there so many times in the playoffs, and I just don't see Nick Foles going up against these guys and coming out. So I wouldn't say that they're going to even... I wouldn't even say they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. I would say if they go to the playoffs, they're going to be an easy out team. I don't see the Bears making much, but that defense is still one of the best in the NFL. Now, of course, their defense has stepped down, even though they've kept a lot of their pieces. They've stepped down over the years, but still, Khalil Mack, one of the best pass rushers in the league. Hakeem Hicks is back. Their secondary is stacked. The secondary is one of the best in the NFL, and that defense is looking really good. So defense can win you games. Defense can win you games. Defense cannot win you championships, and that's just facts. So I think that Nick Foles of course, it's a good idea to bench Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky, throughout his career, now I know his rookie season he looked okay, but throughout his career has not been good, especially when you look at the guys that are drafted after him. It makes it even look worse. So Mitchell Trubisky right now is looking like another quarterback NFL bust. This happens a lot. It's hard to be a quarterback in college, come into the NFL and look as good as you did in college. So he's looking like another quarterback bust, but still, he's only in his rookie contract. He is only on a rookie contract. Maybe Mitchell Trubisky is going to be a backup somewhere, come in and look great. That might happen still. It happens before. It happened with Ryan Tannehill. He was a backup behind Marcus Mariota after being awful in the Miami. So now he's looking really good. Ryan Tannehill's looking good. He's not looking like one of the best, but he's looking good. This could happen with Jameis Winston too. Jameis Winston did not look good in Tampa, and now he's with Sean Payton, who's one of the best quarterbacks coach in the NFL. Well, he's a head coach, but he's good at coaching quarterbacks. So I would still give the Bears 9-7. I think Bears are going to be 9-7, and now that there is 7 teams going to the playoffs, I do think Bears will probably be like a 7 seed, or maybe just barely miss the playoffs, depending on how other teams are looking. The NFC West is looking really good right now. Rams are looking good. 49ers are. The whole NFC West is looking good right now. So honestly, the whole NFC West could be going to the playoffs from the way they're looking right now, and that would honestly ruin the Bears' chance. But Bears, I still think that they're only an 8-8 team. I'm not very high on the Bears. I think Nick Foles is a starting quarterback. Obviously, he is a starting quarterback. Is he a great starting quarterback? Can he compete against these other quarterbacks in the league? No, he cannot. And I know he's done it before with the Philadelphia Eagles offense and with great coaching staff. They just don't have that in Chicago. They don't have that. So benching Mitchell Trubisky is a great idea. Benching Mitchell Trubisky was a great idea for Matt Nagy because now he might be able to keep his head coaching job. If he didn't bench Mitchell Trubisky until, I would say until like the Saints game, maybe 5 more games, which is what I predicted. I felt Mitchell Trubisky was going to, going forward, be a terrible quarterback, and then bench Mitchell Trubisky and use Nick Foles. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. I think 9-7 at best for the Chicago Bears. Again, their defense is really good. That's going to win you games. The way Nick Foles looked in that fourth quarter, though, if they look like that, that's a what's their bet? Okay, that would be like a 13-3 if Nick Foles continue to look like that. But then again, it was against the Falcons defense. Falcons defense is not good at all. They don't have anything on secondary. They're just an all offense team right now. You have to see something. You have to see something from Nick Foles. You have to see him beat one of these teams that have a good defense, maybe even the Colts next week. I mean, Colts have a better defense than the Falcons. Not a very good defense, but they have a better defense than the Falcons. Great linebacker group. That's going to wrap up this segment of Morning Kickoff. How do you think Nick Foles will do with the Chicago Bears? What do you think they will get in the division? What do you think their ending record will be? Let me know.